Hey, Super Duper Gamer here, and today I'm playing Anachrony by David Turksey from Clash Games. Now this is a 1 to 4 player worker placement game. It's competitive, and every player takes on the role of a certain path. There's the paths of progress, harmony, salvation, or dominance. So you take on the role of a certain path because what's going on in this world here, which is Earth in the future, is they have received intel from the future that an asteroid is going to impact the Earth and destroy the entire habitat. So they've got to come together as a society to survive after the impact. And there's 4 different ideologies of how this new society needs to function in order to be successful, right? Either through harmony, which is being one with nature; progress, which I'll be playing as, which is scientific advances; salvation, which is relying on their faith; or dominance, the path focused on military strength. So ordinarily every player would choose a certain path and they would compete to see who can get the most points throughout the eras leading up to and immediately following the impact of that asteroid, and then whoever wins, everyone that's remaining on Earth will join their path, and that will be the new society. Okay, so in the solo game, we just choose a path, any one of the 4 that we want, and we'll play against the Chronobot. Now the Chronobot is a different scenario where it was sent back from a certain future, because there's, a lot of different options of the future, and one of the futures is just so bleak and all the paths had ended up terrible. And so what happened was these robots got sent back to destroy the paths, and so the robots could create the society that was needed to survive in the future. So our goal in the solo game is to beat this Chronobot that was sent back from the future so that our path can survive and carry on humanity. So it's a worker placement game, and as I've already sort of indicated, it involves time travel. The most unique thing you'll see about this game is that you can actually borrow resources from your future self. So you'll see that come out in the gameplay, and that's a really sort of new mechanic that I haven't seen in any game, the way they handled that. And also it fits in with the theme amazingly, which is really lovely when they're able to mix new mechanics and new themes together in such a cohesive way like this. As you can probably already guess just by looking at what's on the table, this is a big game. A lot of components, a lot of rules, and it comes together really well. It flows very smoothly once you learn the game, but it's not easy to learn. It is a heavy game. If you're looking for something to help you relax on a night home alone, this is not it. This game takes a lot of effort to set up, to prepare and put away, and while you're playing, just the amount of thinking you have to do in order to carry out this game. It's ranked pretty highly on the weight scale. So, let's play. Let's take a quick walk around the board before we just start playing. So here you've got my Path of Progress city board. I've got some starting resources up here and some starting workers. Now there's 2 columns for workers. There's the tired workers who cannot be used for an action, and there's the active workers who are ready to be used. And you can, activate the tired workers by either supplying them with water or just by forcing them to work, and whichever one of those you choose will move your morale marker up or down, which will gain or lose victory points for you at the end of the game. Here, this is where we power up our exosuits. So I'll show you, this is what the game comes with as an exosuit. It's a token that you then put your worker on, and that's a worker in an exosuit. However, there's an add-on you can buy from Clash Games that I have and I'll be playing with today, and that is these actual exosuit models. And every path's exosuits are unique. So this is the Path of Progress's gargoyle exosuits, and then your worker just sits in it like that, so you can still tell which worker type is in there. So that's kind of neat, and I'll be playing with those. They're not Kickstarter exclusive. They are available from Clash Games website. So here's where you power up your exosuits, and then over here, this is where you build buildings in your city. You've got power plants, which help you travel back in time, factories, life support systems, which generate water, and labs down here. And here, the more time travel you do, the more you'll get to move up to time travel track, which will get you bonus victory points at the end of the game. And time traveling also will cause paradoxes, though, and if you get 3 paradoxes, it turns into an anomaly. This is the timeline. There will be 4 different eras before the impact, and then up to 3 additional eras after, before the game ends. The game could end here in Era 5. And every era has its own super project that could be built. And this is where you'll place your warp tiles to indicate what you are borrowing from the future. Every path also has an evacuation condition. There's two. You can flip it and choose whichever side you want. So my evacuation condition is I need to have at least 8 water. So after the impact, you can evacuate. If I have 8 water, I can evacuate. And when I evacuate, I'll get 3 victory points for that. And I'll also get an additional 4 victory points for every super project I have built. I am playing with the Librarian Cornella leader. Every path has a male and female leader to play with, and they all have their own special ability. Mine helps me research things easier. And research is one of the actions you can take up here on the main board in the capital city. So the capital city are these 3 actions in the middle. You've got research, which helps you earn these breakthroughs, which are used to build super projects. And then you've got recruit, where you get new workers. There are 3 worker types: scientist, engineer, administrator, and genius, where the genius just counts. It's a wild card. It can be used as either a scientist, an engineer, or an administrator. And then over here, construct. This is how you build buildings and super projects. This banner here indicates who the current first player is, who will go first in each era. So that's the 3 capital actions. There's also the outback. So over here in the outback, you can purify water to just gain water, or you can come down here and trade with the nomads to exchange your resources between different metals or water or energy cores. And over here, you can go mining to collect metals. So there's 6 different resources in the game. There's the energy cores. These are used to power up exosuits. And there is the water, which is used for a lot of things, maybe kind of pretty much everything. And then there's 4 different metal types. There's uranium, neutronium, titanium, and gold. So here are the stacks of structures we can build: the power plants, factories, life support, and labs. We have the resource deck and the recruit deck. This tells us which worker types will be available and which resources will be available for mining during each era. And then over here, since we're playing solo, I've got the Chronobot board. So basically, you just roll the d6 and it gives you a number, and then the number indicates which action the Chronobot will be taking. Okay, so taking a look at our game phases card here: preparation, refill the mine, and recruit pools. These are the cards that tell us what to put in the mine and recruit pools. And here you can see that the mine and recruit pools have been filled. Reveal new super project. Okay, so during the game, whatever era you're on, at the beginning of each era, you reveal the super project for the next era, so that if you would like to, you can start preparing to build that next time. Now, these super projects they all have a cost in both resources and in breakthroughs. So in this case of the ultimate plan, it takes 1 uranium, 2 titanium, 1 gold, 1 scientist, and 2 triangle type breakthroughs. Triangles with any symbol on them. There's 3, for the breakthroughs, there's square, circle, and triangle, and they all have some different symbols on them also. So if you look over here at rescue pods, the breakthrough requirement for it is a triangle with the people symbol on it, or any square and any circle. And all of these breakthroughs and the buildings also just sort of have some kind of symbolism on them, and if you want to find out what they actually do, the rulebook explains each one of them individually. So this is called the ultimate plan. All you do is open your rulebook to the ultimate plan, and you see that it has the ability passive. Every super project you build, including the ultimate plan, is worth +3 victory points at the end of the game. And so now you can look at this and you can see, okay, super project, arrow, +3 victory points. Makes sense. But it might not make sense until you actually read the description of it. And then once you have done that, the symbols listed here are very good at reminding you what it is that it does. And the last part of preparation, shift building stacks. So we've got 4 building stacks here: our power plants, factories, life support, and labs. During the game, there is the main stack, the primary stack, and the secondary stack. So if someone builds, the top one on each stack is available. So someone could build this or this. If they build this, now that is suddenly available. Whereas if instead someone builds this, now there is only 1 life support currently available. That completes preparation. Next is paradox. We're going to skip that for era 1. Now power up. Power up 0 to 6 exosuits and receive water income. Now this is really the point in the game where you need to start thinking and planning, because how many exosuits you power up is going to determine how much you're able to do this era. So you can power up 3 exosuits kind of for free, and then there's 3 more that cost 1 energy core to power up. So if I power up these 3, it doesn't cost me anything, and then you receive 1 water for every empty spot, so I would receive 3 water. If I tried to power up a 4th, I'd have to pay an energy core to do it, and then I would only receive 2 water. So essentially I'm paying an energy core and a water to power up that 4th exosuit. Also, if I chose to only power up 2 exosuits, it doesn't cost me anything, and I would receive 4 water. So this one isn't really free, you know, I'm essentially giving up 1 water in order to power up that exosuit. But this is what I'm going to do for the first era here. I'll power up 3 exosuits, and I will receive an income of 3 water. Next phase, warp. Each player may place 0 to 2 warp tiles on the current timeline tile. Okay, so this is the timeline tile, and these are my warp tiles. So if I want to borrow resources from my future self, I take the warp tile, indicating what I want to borrow, say it's 1 titanium, and I put it here on the timeline tile, and then I collect 1 titanium from the bank. So in the multiplayer game, I'm pretty sure this is done simultaneously, but in the single player game, it's actually done in player order. Since Chronobot is currently the first player, he will choose his warp tiles first. So he doesn't actually warp in any resources because he doesn't actually pay resources for anything. But what you do is you take the paradox die, which has 0, 1, or 2 paradox as the results on it, and you roll that. He got a 1. And what that means during the warp phase is that Chronobot is going to place 1 warp tile on the current era. Okay, so now I choose to warp things in. Now it's important to understand during the paradox phase later, whoever has the most warp tiles on this era will have to roll for paradoxes, which are what, you know, if you get 3 paradoxes, it turns into an anomaly, which is bad. So if I put, say, 2 warp tiles out, I know that Chronobot only has 1, so I'll be rolling for a paradox, while Chronobot will not. If I put 1, then we'll both roll for paradoxes. If I put none, then only Chronobot will be rolling for paradox whenever we're checking era 1 during the paradox phase. For this first warp phase, I'll be warping in 1 powered up exosuit. So I put my warp tile here, and I take the exosuit and add it to my area. So that doesn't cost me an energy core, and I already got my water income. It's just coming in from the future. But I'll be paying for it later when I have to send it back in time to myself as a powered up exosuit. Now phase 5, action rounds. Players take actions until everyone has passed. Alright, so this is the meat of the game. Now a lot of times power up and warp kind of take a lot of time because that's when I'm planning what I'm going to do during the action rounds. But the action rounds are when things actually get done during this game. So, check the banner. It has a Chronobot. So Chronobot is the first player. So for Chronobot turn, you roll the Chronobot d6. He got a 2. So now you check the 2. It's right here. The action says build a lab. So he takes a lab. He takes the one with the higher victory point value. So you have to put one of the Chronobot's exosuits on the build action, and he will always take the topmost spot available, and then you take a lab. Now he takes the one with the most victory points, but these are both worth 2. If they're equal, he takes the one on the secondary stack, and you put it on his board in the labs area. He can have up to 3 of each building type. He doesn't pay any resource, and he never uses the lab. This is just something the Chronobot does, and they've made it as easy as possible to try to run the Chronobot as you can as a solo player. So at the end of Chronobot's turn, he did this. The number 2 gets moved. So now it's my turn, and I don't really have any actions to do outside of exosuits yet. Those sort of come up when you put buildings here. So really, I need to put a worker in my exosuit and do something with it out on the main board. Now there's a couple things I want to get done during the first era. I really want to get some life support systems going because my evacuation requirement is 8 water. So I need to collect water, and life support systems are the way you do that. I also need to get a power plant going because power plants are how you travel back in time to repay the resources you've borrowed. And I've already started borrowing resources from the future, so I need to make sure I have power plants to send those resources back in time to myself. And the third thing that I need to be thinking about is trying to get super projects, because once I do evacuate, which happens after the impact, and I need 8 water to do it, I'll get 4 bonus victory points for every super project I have. So I need to collect super projects. Now those need resources and breakthroughs. I already have 1 triangle breakthrough that I got as one of my starting resources, and the ultimate plan requires 2 triangle breakthroughs. So I would like to either during era 1 or era 2, because I can't build this yet, I'm still in era 1. Once we're in era 2, then I could build this. You can only build a super project if your focus marker is on it. Now when we're in Era 2 and I have a power plant, I can move my focus marker back to Era 1 to build this super project if I would like. But for now, I don't have any time traveling abilities. So my focus is stuck here on Era 1. Also, you can't move your focus to the future. And Era 1 has the super project rescue pods, which makes your evacuation count as completed. But my evacuation requirement is 8 water. I think that'll be easy enough for me to do on my own, so I really don't need to build those rescue pods. Now the ultimate plan gives you 3 bonus victory points for every super project. That works hand in hand with my evacuation bonus down here of getting 4 victory points for every super project I have, right? So super projects are already more valuable to me than usual, and that will make them even more so. I think that has really great synergy with the current path board I have chosen. So I definitely want to work on building the ultimate plan. So I do need to do the research action to get another breakthrough, but I don't think I'm going to get that done during Era 1. Now the actions on the board have certain requirements. Over here, the research action you can see can only be done by a scientist. And the recruit action cannot be done by a scientist. And if you do it by an engineer, you cannot recruit a genius. The administrator can do it with no restrictions. Over here on construct, scientists can construct. If you construct with an engineer, it costs you 1 less titanium to build whatever you're building, and administrators cannot construct. So I definitely want to recruit a genius, and I have active administrators to do it with. Scientists cannot recruit, but these administrators can recruit, and they can recruit geniuses, and I definitely do want to do that. But what I also want is to build a power plant, and I need a neutronium. I don't have any neutronium, and if you look in the mining pool, you'll see that there's only 1 neutronium available for this era. So on Chronobot's board, I see that there's no number currently on the recruit action, so on his next turn, he won't recruit. But there is a 3 on the mining action. So if he rolls a 3, he'll mine, and this is the order he prioritizes the minerals in. He will take the neutronium if it's there. So I need to take that neutronium. It is more urgent than taking the genius, because Chronobot could steal it from me on his next turn. So for my first turn in the first era, I will mine, and I will mine a neutronium. So I can take either a scientist or an administrator. They both can mine. The only thing is the administrator I do need for recruiting later. So I'll take a scientist, put it in a powered up exosuit, and put it over here on the mining action. Now there's actually one more thing I need to decide in order to choose where to put it. If I put it up here, I get this uranium. For here, I get the gold, and here I get the titanium. Now I'm looking at building a power plant, a life support, and a super project. Each one of those requires 2 titanium, and I only have 2 titanium. So I'm going to come down here and take the titanium. So you take the mineral on whatever spot you've chosen, and then you get to choose any one of these from the left. And I, of course, choose the neutronium. Okay, Chronobot's next turn, roll his d6. We've got a 1. So here you see he's going to construct a power plant. So you take a Chronobot exosuit, put it on the construct action, and then choose the power plant that is worth more victory points, and place it here on the Chronobot board. Well, that was disappointing for me because that is actually the power plant that I was hoping to construct. But that's how worker placement games go. And slide the 1 over to its next position. Now, he has taken both the construct actions. Once both spots are filled for any of the 3 capital actions, you can then go into one of the 2 World Council spots and use those for an action that's already been filled. Now you can actually do this before any capital actions are taken yet. You can go here for 2 honor to become first player. But when something's filled up like construct is now, I can go here to take first player and do a construct action. That's what I'd like to do, but I'd like to do it with an engineer, so I get this -1 titanium in the cost bonus, and I don't have an engineer. So what I'm going to do for my turn this time is I'm going to use an administrator in the recruit action to recruit a genius. Now here is the reward for recruiting. So the genius has a question mark, but if you recruit a scientist, you get 2 water, an engineer, an energy core, an administrator, you get 1 victory point. If you recruit a genius, you get to choose any one of those rewards. I'm going to take the energy core, and the recruited worker goes here in my active column. Back over to Chronobot where he rolls his d6. He got a 6, so he takes 2 water, and this moves over here. Okay, I'm lucky he did not roll any construct action, because now I get to do what I wanted to do, which is use my genius in an exosuit in this World Council spot, which makes me first player. So I'll put my Path of Progress banner here. I have to pay 2 water just to go here, because that's indicated on this spot I took. And I will use it to do a construct action, and I will use my genius as an engineer. So I get -1 in the titanium cost of whatever I build. Now I'm going to build this life support system. Now I'll have to when I put a worker here, I have to pay 1 gold, and then I get 6 water and a victory point, and the worker will remain active at the end of the era instead of being tired like they usually would when you use a worker for anything. Now whenever you build, it goes in the leftmost spot of that specific type's row. So that's right here. You can see the cost here is 2 titanium, but since I'm doing it with a genius who is pretending to be an engineer, I'm going to get -1 titanium, so I only have to pay 1 titanium to build this life support system. So I'll take 1 titanium and return it to the supply. Chronobot takes a roll. 4. Now he's going to build life support. So he takes his exosuit. Now if I had not just taken that spot, he would place it in the first player position of the World Council. But since that is already taken, he has to go in the only remaining spot, which is here, to do a construct action. And he will take a life support tile and put it on his board in the life support area. Now I had been planning on constructing a power plant during this era, but both the construct tiles and both the World Council spaces are all occupied, so I cannot do another construct action. Instead, I will be taking an administrator in an exosuit here, paying 1 water, to recruit another genius. Back over to Chronobot, who takes another roll. 3, he will go mining. So here on Chronobot's board, you see his mineral preference order. It's neutronium, uranium, gold, titanium. Now he will prioritize whatever he doesn't have. So if he already had uranium, he would take the gold. But since he doesn't have either, uranium is what he values more. So he takes the uranium. And then you look over here. Does he want gold, uranium, or titanium? Well, he already has a uranium, so he's going to take the gold. So now he's got 1 uranium and 1 gold, so he'll be trying to get a neutronium and a titanium, and then once he can trade in 1 of each resource for 5 victory points. Okay, I have no more exosuits, so I can't do anything out on the main board, but over here I have somewhere I could put a worker and pay 1 water to get pay 1 gold to get 6 water and 1 victory point. That sounds like a good deal, and the worker will remain active after I do it with them, so it doesn't matter at all which worker I choose in that case. So I'll just go ahead and throw a genius down there, and it costs 1 gold, so I take my gold and return it to the supply, and then I gather 6 water and 1 victory point. So these darker colored waters count as 5, so that's 6 water and 1 victory point marker. Rolls a 1. So here he's going to collect a warp tile from a previous era and advance his time travel marker. But he doesn't have any warp tiles in previous eras because we're in era 1. So whenever it's something that he can't do, such as this case, you still move the marker, and then all you do is you give him 2 water and 1 victory point. And over to me, I pass. Now as soon as I pass, the era is over. So now we have to do cleanup. Retrieve workers, check for impact. That only happens after era 4, so we do not have impact. Check for game end. That only happens after impact, so we do not have game end. And next era. So we need to retrieve workers and then go back to the preparation phase. So make sure you're paying attention when you retrieve your workers. Okay, so Chronobot, we can just give him all his exosuits back. But if you had an engineer go mining, that engineer can stay active. That's really the only stipulation out here for this. So I do not. This was a scientist, so he will be tired. Or she will be tired. The scientists are girls. My administrators will both be tired, and this genius will be tired. But if you look down here, this genius will be active still because of this symbol up here in the corner. So I've got an active scientist and genius, and I've got an assortment of tired workers over here. Okay, so next era means our focus moves on to the next era. So we're now going into era 2. Refill mine, that's that, and recruit pools, that's this. Okay, so the mine is gold, 3 uranium, and titanium. So we'll make sure that that's what we have out here. 1 gold, 3 uranium, and a titanium. And then make sure over here we've got blocks in each of these spots too. These are always uranium, gold, and titanium, and that's written on the board. Recruit pool, 2 scientists, 1 engineer, and 1 genius. 1 engineer, 2 scientists, and 1 genius. Reveal new super project. So whatever the next era is, we're going to reveal that super project. Quantum chameleon, and shift building stacks. So everything from the top piece of the primary stack gets moved over to become the top of the secondary stack. So paradox phase, we go through and check each past era. There's only one. So me and Chronobot actually both have the most warp tiles here because we both have 1. So I'll roll for me first. I have 1. So I get 1 paradox. And then I'll roll for Chronobot because he also has the most warp tiles there. He gets 2 paradoxes. Okay, power up phase. This is where I really start thinking about what I want to do this round. I definitely want to build my super project, but that takes gold and I don't have any gold, so I definitely want to go mining for gold. And I want to build another life support, so I'm going to need more uranium, so I'm going to go mining for uranium. Oh, I only have 1 triangle breakthrough and I need 2, so I have to do some research. And I do want to build Quantum Chameleon, so I'll have to do some more research. Okay, so I'm going to power up 6 exosuits. So that's going to cost me 3 energy cores, and I get 0 water. Now, the warp phase, what do I need to borrow from the future to make this happen? Well, I could just borrow a uranium from the future, and then I'll have to go mining 1 fewer times than I thought I was going to. In which case, I could instead recruit that genius. That would be nice. So actually, yes, let's do that. I'm going to borrow... Now it goes in player order, but I'm first player, remember? So last time I got to see how many warp tiles Chronobot was putting out first. Now I'm first player, so I go first. I'm going to say I borrow 1 uranium. So I put a uranium warp tile there, and I take a uranium from the supply. Now Chronobot rolls to see how many warp tiles he's putting out. 1. So here on the timeline, I've put my uranium warp tile and 1 Chronobot warp tile. And now we're into action rounds. Now I am first player, so I get to get right into it. Okay, well, knowing that I'm planning on building the Quantum Chameleon, it requires a genius in order to use it. So for right now, I'm going to go out and recruit another genius. So scientists cannot recruit. I need to use my genius to do this, and the genius will be acting as an administrator, because administrators are the only worker type that can actually recruit a genius. So I'll put them here. Of course, I could go here, but it would cost me 1 water to do it, and there's no benefit. So my genius, I'll put my genius in the exosuit here, recruit this genius. She goes in the active column, and then I get to choose a reward. I'm going to take an energy core because, as you just saw, I am currently in the habit of spending a lot of energy cores. Okay, let's see what Chronobot's up to. A 1. So this says he will, pay the 2 resources and 2 water, or 1 neutronium and 2 water that it takes to remove an anomaly, but he doesn't yet have an anomaly, so he can't do that action. So he's going to get 2 water and 1 victory point, and the 1 will move back over here. Now there's things I wanted to do for sure, right? I wanted to build my super project. I'm kind of hesitant to do that yet because I want to be careful to not let Chronobot take first player from me. I know I need to research, and research can only be done with a scientist. Of course, I could use my scientist or my genius to do it. I will use my scientist to conduct research. Now the way research goes is that we have 2 dice. 1 with shapes and 1 with symbols. And you get to pick 1 to put it on whatever you want. I'm going to pick the shape 1 to be on a triangle, because you see here the cost for this super project is 2 triangles of any symbol. So I'm definitely going to select triangle, and then I have to roll this one to see which symbol. I'm going to get a triangle with the people on it. So that is the breakthrough I received for my research. Roll the Chronobot die. 3. So Chronobot will be building a life support. He takes the one worth more victory points. In this case, it is 2 victory points, and that goes here on his life support building stack. And don't forget to put a Chronobot exosuit here in the construct action area. I take a look at this, and I see the only thing where Chronobot would construct is 1. If he rolls a 1, he'll be constructing a power plant. If I put a worker here, and then Chronobot rolls a 1, he will then put his exosuit here in order to do the construct action and take first player from it. And that's what I don't want to happen. So I'm gonna wait in case if he wants to construct, he can take this spot, and then I'll be able to use the World Council spots to still do my construction. So what I'm gonna do first instead, I have a genius. I can either come here to supply workers. I need to get more workers over here in my active column in order to make use of these exosuits. I can pay 5 water to supply workers and increase their morale. Or the circle is actually a free action. So if I do this, it counts as my turn. If I do this, then I still get to take a turn. But I don't pay any water, but I have to drop morale. So in this case, I think I'm going to do that. So what you do is you put your one of your path tokens here to mark that you took that free action already this era. And then I would drop morale, and all my tired workers become active. But that was a free action, so I still get to do a main action. Okay, if you use a worker spot like this, or if you use an exosuit, that counts as a main action. It's only these circles that count as a free action. Okay, that life support system Chronobot just built is actually one thing that I was planning on building this era, so that is unfortunate for me that I have lost that, but it's okay. There's another life support available still, which isn't... It's not as good, but it's okay. So I need to figure out something else to do. Now I'm just realizing I don't have any gold, and I'm trying to build the ultimate plan during this era, and I need 1 gold to do it. So I need to go mine for gold. So the thing I really need to keep in mind now is that building my super project, part of the cost is a scientist. So I need to make sure I have a scientist available for that. They can either be in the active or tired columns. But if they're out on the board, if they're busy, either in an action over here or in an exosuit, then I can't use them as part of that cost. So I can't use my scientist to mine. I can use anything else, and I will take an administrator, I guess, and send him out mining, and he will collect 2 gold. I know I need 1 for the ultimate plan, and I need another for Quantum Chameleon next era if I end up actually building that, as I'm sort of intending. Chronobot, what are you up to? 4, that is a recruit action. So you take Chronobot exosuit, put it up here on the recruit action. Now just as before, there's a preference order: genius, administrator, engineer, scientist. He doesn't have any, but there's no genius or administrators available, so he will take an engineer. Now the recruit actions are full, and he still has a 3 here. So if he rolls a 3, he's going to do a World Council spot, and he's going to use that spot that gives him first player, and I don't want that to happen, but that's a 1 in 6 chance, and I think right now there's more important things I need to do than just block Chronobot from getting first player. Alright, for now I'm going to put someone here to collect water and a victory point. I think I cannot use my scientist because I need her, so I'm going to drop the administrator, and I have to pay 1 of those gold to do it, so I'm going to have to collect more gold before sometime during this or the next era. So I pay 1 gold, and I collect 6 water and 1 victory point. Back to Chronobot. Let's see. 4. Okay, Chronobot is constructing a factory. So that's good for me because now I can go ahead and do a construct action. Okay, because he's taking the second construct spot and factory. They're both worth 2 victory points, so he takes the one in the secondary stack, adds it to his Chronobot player board. Now this is what I was talking about. Now I can do a construct action, and I can take this World Council spot so that I maintain my first player status. So I want to construct a super project. I want to do it with an engineer to save myself a titanium. So I can either use a genius or an engineer. Both of them will count as an engineer. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the engineer. Load him up in an exosuit, and then he will fly off to the World Council, pay 2 water to take this prestigious spot to do a construct action. Okay, so the cost here is 1 uranium, 2 titanium, but I'm using an engineer, so that'll be reduced to 1. 1 gold and 1 scientist, and 2 triangle breakthroughs of any symbol. So I've got my 2 triangles. I'll return those to the supply. 1 uranium, 1 gold, 1 titanium, return all those to the supply, and 1 scientist, return that to the supply. So now your super project has to go in the leftmost space available, which means I cannot put it on the blue line. But since these are all tied, I get to choose which one to do. And honestly, if the Quantum Chameleon works out, I can use that to use Chronobot's power plants, in which case I never need to build a power plant, at all. So I'm gonna go up here and hope that works out. So now I can still build a power plant. It's just I have to put it here, which is more pricey, right? So in a sense, it's kind of locking me out of power plants. And it only leaves me the option of ever building one power plant. So that's where that super project is going. Back over to Chronobot. Rolls a 2. See what's that on? That is on, oh, yeah, that's fine. Okay, it's on research. So he's gonna make a breakthrough. So when Chronobot does research, first put a Chronobot exosuit out here on the location to mark that it's taken, and then he only rolls the shape die. He gets a square, so he gets a square. He does not spend these. He does not use them whenever he is building super projects, but they are worth points at the end of the game, and that's all Chronobot will use them for. Okay, I've got 2 geniuses and 2 exosuits. There's only one more spot in the World Council, and so there's only one more capital action that can possibly be taken this era. I feel like I should do it now before Chronobot takes it. So I'm going to put a genius and an exosuit here, which costs 1 water. And that's good for a research, a recruit, or a build action. All right, the level of water in my city has been pretty good. So I'm going to take the research action. I'm going to set this to circle and roll this. Now I do have the special ability on my leader is that during the research action I can pay 1 water to set an additional die to a specific face of my choice. But the super project I'm currently going for doesn't require any certain face, it just requires 2 circles. So I'm just going to roll this, save a water, get a circle, and the question mark actually means I get to pick anyway, but I just grab a circle, I don't care which symbol is on it. Over to you, Chronobot. 5. 5 is currently here, he gets 2 water. Okay, now my last worker in my last exosuit, and I will send this genius off to mine. Now first I have to choose if I want a uranium or a titanium. I'll take one of each. So I'll go down here to take the titanium, and now I choose one from over here, I choose uranium. And I'm done, but I just took my action, so Chronobot gets to take an action. He rolls a 4. He's going to supply workers and increase morale. He needs 5 water to supply workers. He has enough to do it. If he didn't, he would move on and do something else. But he does, so he's going to pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 water, and move the morale marker up 1. My turn, I pass. That is the end of the era, so we retrieve workers. Get all these Chronobot exosuits off the board, and then mine. Now I did put a genius over here mining, so that genius can remain active because she was acting as an engineer. And I think all my other workers are going to be tired. Oh wait, this one stays active, whoever you put here. It's got a little symbol on the building there, which indicates your worker will remain active. All right, that's it. So we move on to preparation. We need to refill the mine and recruit supplies. So the mine is going to get neutronium, gold, titanium, 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 and the recruit will be 1 scientist, 1 engineer, and 2 analysts, or sorry, administrators. Remember, no matter what the card says, there's always at least 1 uranium, 1 gold, and 1 titanium available over there. Okay, so there's that. Okay, advance me to here. We're moving into era 3. Reveal the next super project, the Outback Conditioner. Advance the building tiles. Okay, paradox phase. So we have to move through these arrows 1 by 1. So we check era 1. Who has the most? We're tied. So we both roll for paradoxes. I'll roll first. I get 2. That's a total of 3. So I discard all 3 paradoxes and I get an anomaly. The anomaly goes in the leftmost spot. If there's more than 1 leftmost spot, you choose. So I will put it right here. Now once I got an anomaly, that's it for this era. I don't have to roll for paradoxes anymore, and also I get to remove one of my warp tiles from the timeline. So I will remove, well, you do that after everyone finishes rolling. So Chronobot has to roll for era 1. He gets none. Now era 2, we're both tied, but I just got an anomaly, so I don't roll for paradoxes. Chronobot has to roll. He gets 1 paradox. And that is a total of 3 paradoxes now for Chronobot. So he will also discard all his paradoxes. Even if he rolled 2 and it brought him to a total of 4, he would discard all of them, all 4, and get an anomaly. Now when you get an anomaly, you get to remove a warp tile from the timeline. So for me, I just get to choose any one in a previous era. I choose this one because it's a lot harder for me to send back an exosuit than it is for me to send back a uranium. But I don't get to advance my time travel marker for that. So I don't have to pay it back, but I also don't get to advance that. Chronobot gets to remove one. He removes one in an era where he has the most. Like if he had 2 in one of these, he would take one off of there, but he doesn't. So he defaults to the older of the 2 that are tied. So he will take this warp tile off. Okay, power up phase. I need to decide how many exosuits I want for era 3. Okay, I'm back from a long off-camera pause where I was deliberating what to do here, and I've chosen to power up 4 exosuits. So 3 of them are free, and 1 of them I have to pay an energy core for. Collect my water income of 2. And now, warp phase, I will actually choose to warp in a powered up exosuit from the future. Because I'm going to mine twice, construct once, research once, and maybe research a second time, or maybe recruit. I haven't quite decided yet. Kind of depends what Chronobot's doing. So now we have to determine what Chronobot's warping in. 2, Chronobot puts out 2 warp tiles. That is good for me. That means when we roll for paradoxes, he has the most and I do not. So I won't even have to roll for this era, as long as he remains with 2 and I with 1. So that's really good, actually. Okay, now action rounds. I'm first player, I get to go first. The first thing I want to do is mine that neutronium. Because if Chronobot gets 1 neutronium and 1 titanium, he'll trade in his resources for 5 victory points. And there's only 1 neutronium available out here, so I am going to take it. I'll take that, and I think a gold. I'll throw an administrator out there. I'm going to take a gold and a neutronium. Because I need the gold to build my super project, and I'm trying to keep the neutronium away from Chronobot. Alright, Chronobot's turn. 6, he gets 1 victory point. If it was after the impact, he would build a super project, but it's not. It's before the impact, he gets 1 victory point, and that is all. So, before impact, 6 is like the best thing you can roll, as far as it's really weak for Chronobot. After the impact, 6 is the worst thing you can roll, as far as it's really strong for Chronobot. I want to build that super project, so I need to research, because I need 2 circles, and I only have 1. But research is currently not an option for Chronobot, so it's really not a priority yet. Let's see if something else is. I wanted to mine twice. Oh, so I can just mine again, actually. That's what I'll do. I'm going to mine again. I'll take a genius and mine again. Now, Chronobot also needs titanium, and I can't really keep the titanium from him because there's so much of it out there. So I'll just take whatever I need, which happens to be uranium. I'm looking forward, and this Outback conditioner, if I want to get that, takes 2 uranium, 2 titanium, 2 gold. So I will need more uranium. So I'm going to take a uranium and a gold. Alright, Chronobot, you're up. What are you doing? 3? Let's see. Oh, you're recruiting. Okay. So Chronobot exosuit goes out on the board in the recruit. He doesn't have a genius, but there's one available. He needs an administrator, and there is one available. Or there was 2, now there's 1. So he takes an administrator and adds it here to his little collection of workers. Back to me. Okay, now I don't have any workers, so I can't supply workers because that takes a worker. So obviously I'm going to force workers, which is a free action. I drop morale, and all of these guys become active. Forced labor. Now I have workers. Okay, so I mined twice, and then I wanted to build my super project, but I definitely need to research because I can't even build it yet. So I'm going to research, which requires a scientist, so I need to use either a scientist or a genius. I will use my scientist and throw her out here. Now I need a circle, but the next super project in line, the Outback conditioner, you need either a circle with a DNA strand or a triangle and a square. My current circle has a time, but now I'm going to put this on circle because what I need is a circle for, but I might get, if I get a circle with DNA, then I'll save that and I'll go research again. Let's see. Circle with people, okay. That's fine. Chronobot. 1, oh, he's going to build a power plant, okay. So he takes one of his exosuits. He's going to take a construct action, power plant. They're both 2 victory points, so he takes the one from the secondary stack, adds it to his Chronobot board. Now me, okay, so I've got 4 workers left, 2 exosuits. I definitely want to do this, which costs the gold, right? And I get 6 water and a victory point. Probably want to do that. If I have extra time, I could get rid of this anomaly. Okay, so here's the deal right now. If you look at Chronobot's board, he's got the 4, the 5, and the 3 all on construct actions. And if you look at the main board, if I take a construct action and then Chronobot rolls construct, he's taking over first player. In which, if he takes first player, that means he gets 1 more action in every era than if I maintain first player. So that's why I'm trying to maintain first player. So I want to hold off on constructing yet. So I think instead, I'm going to go research. It takes a scientist, but I have a genius. My genius can research. So she's going to jump in this exosuit and come up here. It costs 1 water to take that spot. And she's going to set this to circle. And then I'm actually going to use my leader's ability here. Which, like I said, was when you're doing a research action, pay 1 water to set an additional die to a face of your choice. So I'm going to do that. I pay 1 water to set this to the little DNA strand. So that's my research action. Now I get a DNA circle. Take that and add it to my stash. So now I have 3 circle breakthroughs. One of them's DNA type, right? Because my Quantum Chameleon that I'm trying to build this era takes 2 circles, and then Outback Conditioner, circle with a DNA strand is one of the requirements to build it. So back over to you, Chronobot. I think I'm doing pretty good. Chronobot is falling behind, I would say, at this point. 5. Yeah, he's building a life support. So if I had constructed, and he would be taking the first player position now. But since there's still a construct option available here, he's not. So he's going to go here. He's going to take the life support worth more victory points. This one's worth 2. He adds it to his stack. That's his 3rd life support. So he's done building life supports because you can only have up to 3 of any building type. Back over to me. Okay, so now I do want to construct because I want to take that World Council spot before Chronobot has a chance to get there. So I'm going to take my engineer, put him in this last exosuit, and send him up to the World Council. It takes 2 water. It costs 2 water for me to go, just to go with this spot, but that's all right. 2 water, it's worth it. And I did an engineer, so I get -1 cost of titanium. So I'm building this Quantum Chameleon. It's gonna cost 1 neutronium, 1 uranium, and 1 gold, and 2 circle breakthroughs. Neutronium, uranium, gold. So it has to go in the leftmost spot, so this is my only option for it. I have to put it here. And I got 1 neutronium, 1 uranium, 1 gold, and 2 circle breakthroughs. Make sure I don't grab the DNA type one. The Quantum Chameleon. And you'll see how it works in the very next turn here. Chronobot rolls a 1. Okay, so he's going to pick up a warp tile. So that whole advantage I had where I'm not rolling for paradoxes here because he has the most, it goes away now because wherever he has 1 here and 2 here, so wherever he has the most, it's 2, it's here. He's going to take one of those and he's going to retrieve that warp tile and advance 1 on his time travel marker. Okay, back over to me. I've got 2 things left to do. I want to go here and I want to go here, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do both of them just exactly because I have just the exact amount of workers. What should I do first? I don't think it really matters at all. I'm going to take my administrator and put him here, pay 1 gold, get 6 water and a victory point. Alright, Chronobot, it's on you. 4. Alright, he's constructing a lab. So the construct spots are filled, so he takes the World Council spot. If it was available, he would take the first player spot, but it is already taken. So he goes here, and no more construct actions can be taken this era. A lab and adds it to his stash. Back over to me. Like I said, this is going to be my last action. It's my last worker. So Quantum Chameleon requires a genius to be placed here, and then you get to take the worker action of any super project or building built by any player. I will be taking the action of this power plant, so I can travel back in time up to 3 eras compared to the current era. So the current era is here, era 3. I'm going to move my focus back just one era. I could go up to 3, but I only need 1. So now my focus is here, and I will retrieve this warp tile, but it costs me 1 uranium to do so, so I return a uranium to the supply. And I retrieve this warp tile to my personal supply, and I get to move my marker up on my time travel track. Now what just happened was I actually just sent a uranium back in time to myself in era 2. That's where that uranium came from last era when I put that warp tile out. Alright Chronobot, I think this is your last chance to do anything on this era. Better make it good. 1. You're going to remove a paradox. Yeah, that is pretty good. Alright, so he has to pay 2 resources and 2 water to remove, an anomaly, not a paradox. And he has it. He has 2 resources and 2 water. So he pays all that and removes this anomaly. Now anomalies are worth -3 victory points at the end of the game, so hopefully I can get rid of mine too. That was a pretty good move by Chronobot, getting rid of that. And the one will bounce over to its next position. My turn, I pass. End of era. Okay, retrieve workers. I did put a genius on the mining colony, so she will remain active because she was acting as an engineer. And I think all my other workers are tired. Yeah. Well, this administrator will also be active. Chronobot gets his workers back. And, okay, check for impact. It's not happening. Okay, next era, move my focus over. We're now in era 4. So at the end of this era, we will have impact. Alright, preparation, refill the mine and recruit pools. The mine is going to have 2 gold, 1 uranium, and 2 titanium. The recruit pool will be 1 scientist, 1 engineer. Oh wait, nope. It's not old, it's just the same. Alright, same as last time. 1 scientist, 1 engineer, and 2 administrators. Reveal the next super project. Temporal tourism, a free action that lets you go back up to 3 eras. And refresh the building stacks. Now on to the paradox phase. So check here, era 1, no warp tiles. Era 2, only Chronobot has a warp tile, so he's got to roll the paradox die. He gets 1 paradox. Okay, era 3, we're tied, so I'll roll first. We both have the most. I have the most, so I have to roll. I get 1 paradox. Now Chronobot also has the most, so he also has to roll. He gets 1 paradox. You know what? I messed this up. Earlier, Chronobot collected his warp tile off of here. That wasn't supposed to happen because that was the current era. You cannot time travel back to the current era. So I'm sorry I messed it up. I'm gonna fix it now. So what happened during the last game when he time traveled, he was actually supposed to collect this one, which means just now during the paradox phase he only rolled once, which means he only gets 1 paradox, not 2. And I never rolled, which means I don't get a paradox. So currently I have 0 paradoxes on my board. Chronobot has 1 paradox on his board. Okay, power up phase. Now looking forward just a bit, I'm gonna need these energy cores more later, and you'll see that as soon as we hit era 5. So for now, I'm gonna power up just 3. I'm gonna power up 3 and take my 3 water, and that's my power up phase. All right, warp. I'm first player, so I go first, and I am choosing to warp in 1 uranium from the future. So I'll put that warp tile out here and collect a uranium from the supply. Okay, I'm trying to build this outback conditioner. So 2 uranium and 2 titanium, but 1 if I use an engineer, which I will, and 2 gold. So I need 2 gold. I'll have to mine and then construct. And then this guy, I might just send him back. I might do some time travel, or I might mine or recruit. We'll see. If I recruit an engineer, I could get another energy core. That would be really good, because then I would have. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'll make that decision later. We have to see what the Chronobot's warping in. 2. He's putting out 2 warp tiles. Another good roll for me. Now, even though I'm not rolling for paradoxes here because Chronobot has more than me, I still want to pick this up, because if I don't, it's worth -2 victory points at the end of the game. Also, if I do pick it up, it's going to be +2 here, so it's really, picking it up is a net gain of 4 victory points. So definitely worth picking up if I can spare the exosuit. Slow as warp. Now action rounds. I am first player. I will go first. I'm gonna go straight into mining to make sure I get those 2 gold. Although if he mines first, he's gonna take the uranium and a gold. There'd still be 2 gold there for me. So I don't have to do it first. But all I wanna do is get those gold and then build the super project and then maybe send this guy back in time. So really, mining is just the first thing I wanna do. Completely ignoring whatever Chronobot's up to. So I'm gonna just go for it. So let's see, I've got a genius or an administrator. I'm gonna need more workers than that. I'm gonna need at least 3 workers. So I'm gonna go ahead and force workers. No, I'm gonna supply workers. All right, so far you've only seen me do forced labor. I'm gonna take this administrator, put him down here, and check here, I have to pay 4 water. That's all right because I have 19. So I think I can spare a little. So I'm gonna trade a 5 for a 1. Okay, I just paid 4 water. Now I'm gonna move morale up, which gained me 2 victory points. And all my tired workers are now active. Okay, but then the other drawback to doing this, other than just having to pay water, is also that counted as my turn, whereas forced labor was a free action. So now it's on to Chronobot. Roll your die, Chronobot. 3. What does that mean? Build a factory. Okay, puts an exosuit on the top spot of construct, takes the factory worth more victory points, adds it to the factory stack on his player board. Over to me now. Like I said, I have to go mining. I'll do that with a genius, so the genius will actually remain active. You know, that administrator will remain active. Whoever I put here, if I do, actually I don't think I'm putting anyone there. This genius will be tired. I might not have to, I might have enough active workers for the next era that I don't have to force labor or supply. We'll see. I'm gonna take this genius in her exosuit and send her out here to go mining. She's gonna collect 2 gold for me. All right, Chronobot, you're up. 5. Oh, you're recruiting. Okay. Chronobot exosuit out here on the recruit action. He wants a genius, but there aren't any available. He already has an administrator and an engineer, so he's gonna take the scientist. You can see here on his board, all he needs is 1 genius, and he can trade in the set for 5 victory points. Okay, now there's 2 things I want to do. I want to use Quantum Chameleon to use one of Chronobot's power plants to travel back along the timeline and repay this exosuit. And the other thing I want to do is build this super project. Now, like I was saying before, I would rather save the building for later, because if I do it now and then Chronobot builds, he's going to take that first player spot. But the reason I can't do that is if I move my focus marker back to collect that, or to send back that exosuit, now I can't build this super project because I'm focused on the wrong timeline, the wrong era. So if, say, there was a super project back here you wanted to build, you could use a power plant to send your focus back there and then build it. You can only build the super project where your focus is. So I need to build this super project before I go back in time. So I will use my engineer in an exosuit to take this construct spot, which costs 1 water, and build this super project. So this is the Outback Conditioner. I can put a worker here, I have to pay 2 water, and then I get to take a research, recruit, or construct action. So it costs 2 water, where usually these actions don't cost 2 water, and depending on which hex space you use out on the capital board. The main difference is to do this is in my own city. I don't have to use an exosuit. So that's awesome. All right, so I have to put it here or here. I'm gonna go here because I really like the life support. I don't think I'm gonna build one, but just in case, I'm gonna put it here. So it costs me 2 uranium, which I have, 2 titanium. I'm only gonna pay 1 because I use an engineer, and 2 gold. And a circle DNA strand breakthrough. If I didn't have the circle DNA, I could do any triangle and any square. But if I have the circle with the DNA, then it's only cost me 1 breakthrough instead of 2. All right, so I pay all those resources and I get that super project. Let's see what Chronobot's up to. 2, he's going mining. Okay, so he's gonna send an exosuit out here. He wants the uranium and the gold. Back to me. So now, just as you saw me do before, I need to use a genius on my Quantum Chameleon, which lets me take the worker action on any built super project or building. So I will take the action of this power plant over here, which lets me move back up to 3 eras. And I will move my focus back just 1 era to right here. I will send a powered up exosuit back in order to collect this warp tile and increase my time travel proficiency marker here. Alright, that was my turn. Let's see, that was my action. Over to Chronobot. Chronobot 5. Chronobot is building a factory. Let's see, does he have room? Yeah, he only has 2 factories yet. So we go up here. Unfortunately, a construct action is not what I wanted him to do. Chronobot exosuit, construct is full, so he will go to the World Council. He always prioritizes this spot to go ahead and take first player away from me. Choose a factory for him. We've got 1 and 2 victory points, so he'll take the higher victory point one and add it to his stash. Okay, over to me. I already lost first player, so now that's sort of one less thing I have to worry about, I guess. So, you know, if he didn't construct, I might pass now just to end the era before he has a chance to take first player. But since he already took it anyway, I think I will go ahead and do... I don't have any exosuits, but I have this Outback Conditioner now, where I can pay 2 water to do a research, recruit, or construct action without an exosuit. So that's great. And I think I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do research. Basically, I'm going to come up here and build this temporal tourism for 2 reasons. One, it's 6 points plus an extra 3 because of my ultimate plan, so it's 9 points just to build it. And then 2, I can use it as a free action to go back in time to pay back that uranium I borrowed instead of having to do that with my quantum chameleon. So it will save me an action, and it was worth 9 victory points. So I need a triangle with the timer marker on it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a research action. Research action, even if I'm using my Outback Conditioner, requires a scientist. So I will put my scientist here and pay 2 water. I have 14, so I think I can spare 2 to do this research action. Now, normally in a research action, remember, you just get to choose one of the dice, either one, whether you want to select a symbol or a shape, and then you roll the other. But my special power is that I can pay 1 water to select both. Go ahead to select an additional die. So I'm going to get the timer triangle. So I just collect that breakthrough. Back over to you, Chronobot. He's going with 6. He's collecting 2 water. Not good. Not good, because now if he rolls a 6, he builds a super project. I liked it better when he was over here, because we're about to do the impact. And after the impact, if he rolls a 6, super project. It would have been better if we did impact over here, because then you have to roll 2 6s before he built the super project. But there it is. So his 6 gets him 2 water, which is no big deal. What's concerning is that the next 6 after the impact will be a super project. Okay, over here, I don't have any more exosuits. I still have a worker and I still have this, but I don't have any gold to do it with. So I am done. I could get rid of this right now, but it would cost me my neutronium, which I need to build my temporal tourism super project in the next era. So I'm going to hold off on that. Yep, I'm done. I pass. End of era. So end of era, we retrieve workers. So I have 4 active workers. I might be able to get away. Maybe, we'll see. Chronobot's exosuits need to go back. Okay, so that was retrieve workers, but now the next step, check for impact. That is happening because we're in the 4th era. Between the 4th and 5th era, we have impact. So the impact happens. So up here, this board flips. Now this is a new spot available where you can put an exosuited worker, and this is the evacuation. And you can do it with a scientist, an engineer, or an administrator, or a genius. And you get different number of victory points based on which order you do it in. Okay, and what it says up here is usually you put a -3 VP marker here for 2 players, 3 players, or 4 players. So whoever evacuates last gets -3 victory points. But in solo, we don't use the -3 marker because I'm the only one evacuating. Chronobot does not evacuate. Actually, you can flip this card and you can see. During impact, flip that tile we just flipped, and then add the collapsing capital markers to the capital actions. So here for construct, we're going to randomly take 2 of these and put them here on the construct spots. And these do different things. So now, well, let me just get all these out first. There's 2 for construct, 2 for recruit. Okay, we got extra actions on all of them. Ooh, I love that exosuit one. Alright, so now I'll show you what's going on up here. Now, for the rest of the game, as soon as someone goes here, you get to do your regular construct, but it has a bonus of if you do construct a super project, you get 2 victory points. And then after this is used, it gets flipped over and it is no longer an available construct action. Okay, and the whole flipping process is true for all of these. This one gives you an extra construct action, extra recruit action, free exosuit, extra research action, and you get to return 2 paradoxes. Once these are all flipped, the game's over. So the thing I need to make sure I do is I need to make sure I do my evacuate action before the game ends. The game can end now in 2 ways. One is the capital collapses, which means all these 6 get flipped over. 2 would be we run out of eras. So there can only be a maximum of 7 eras. If we finish the 7th era, game's over. Okay, back here on Impact, you see 2 hex unavailable tiles get put there and there. And over here for mining, it says Impact Neutronium. So what these mean is these 2 hex spaces get, so now I only get 1 free exosuit, and I can only have a maximum of 4. Well, I can have 4, and then also I can warp 1 in, so I can have a maximum of 5. The mine, I'll show you what that means when we do preparation. So let's go ahead and refill the mine and recruit pools. The new mine pool says gold, uranium, titanium, titanium, titanium. What that last step of impact means is the top one, no matter what it says, it's going to be neutronium. So we're going to have neutronium, uranium, titanium, titanium, titanium. Neutronium, uranium, and 3 titaniums, and then make sure you get all these spots on the right filled also. Okay, now what do we have for the recruit pool? 1 scientist, 1 administrator, and 2 geniuses. It's really not what I was hoping for because I am trying to prevent Chronobot from getting a genius, but now there's 2. Actually, I could still stop him pretty well. If I take the recruit action and I do the extra recruit action, I can just grab both of them. He does not have a number on recruit right now, so it's not super urgent. We'll see if I can get away with not doing that. Honestly, I really like taking this extra exosuit because that's like a free recruit action, and then you still have your exosuit available to do whatever else you wanted to do. Okay, reveal new super project. So over here we have to flip this. Welfare Society. All right, that's one where you can put an administrator here and pay a water to increase your morale. And refresh the building stacks. That was preparation. We got to do paradox. So looking at the timeline, our first warp tiles are here in Era 3, and Chronobot has the most, so he will roll for paradoxes. He will collect 1 paradox. And then Era 4, Chronobot has the most, he will roll for paradoxes. He will collect 2 paradoxes, which is a total now of 4. But like I mentioned earlier, once you have 3 or more, you just get rid of all of them. So if I give him these 2, now he's got 4. You don't turn 3 into an anomaly. You actually remove all your paradoxes and get an anomaly. And when you do that, you get to remove 1 of your warp tiles. Chronobot will prioritize whichever era has the most, but they're tied at 2, so now he'll remove 1 from the oldest, so he'll remove 1 from here. Alright, that was paradox. Remember, only whoever has the most has to roll. That's why I didn't roll here. If I had 2, or if we were tied at 1, then I would roll. But since Chronobot has the most, and I do not, only Chronobot rolls. Okay, power up. I get 1 free, and I have the option of 3 more that would cost energy cores, but I only have 2 energy cores. I'm trying to get stuff done in this era, so I'm going to go ahead and do 3 exosuits. That cost me 2 energy cores. This is the max I can do because I only have 2 energy cores. And then I collect my income of 1 water. Now warp is done in player order, so we have to check what Chronobot is warping. None. Now me, I will warp an exosuit. Like I said, trying to get things done. So I put my exosuit warp tile on the timeline in the current era, and I get a powered up exosuit. That's it, now action rounds. Chronobot is first player. Okay, something I didn't mention yet, very important to note, Chronobot, after impact, only has 4 exosuits available. Previously, he had 6. So just like me, he is now more limited in his actions. I'm really hoping he holds off on construction because I'm going to construct a super project. And if you do it here, if you do a super project on this hex, you get 2 victory points extra. I'm building a super project, so that's really what I want to do. Chronobot will always take the top 1. Right, so if these had been switched, then I wouldn't have to be worried about it because Chronobot's going to go here. But this is how it is, so hopefully I can construct before him. let's see what happens. So let's go ahead and roll for Chronobot and see what he's gonna do. One is construct a power plant. Okay, so he is taking my construct spot. Too bad for me. So Chronobot Exosuit goes here. He ignores these symbols. He doesn't take any of the bonuses, even though, I mean, he's not making a super project, but if he was, he would not get those bonus points. And these are tied at 2, so he's gonna take the 1 from the secondary stack, come down here, add it to his pile. That's 3. He's now got 3 of everything except labs. He only has 2 labs. So he's not gonna build any more yellow, gray, or blue buildings. Okay, over here to me, I don't feel like I'm in such a hurry to construct now because he already took the spot I wanted. But it is what it is. I think, so first I need to mine, because what I really need is, in order to build this super project, I need another titanium. And I would like to have a gold to collect water. Well, let's see, I need 8 water. Yeah, I might want some more water just to be safe. So I'm gonna send my administrator out to the mines. He's gonna get me a gold and a titanium. Okay, Chronobot rolls another 1. Oh, sorry, I forgot to move this over. So time travel, he's gonna look up here and he's gonna take whichever one he has the most on, which is this. He has 2, so he's gonna take one of these warp tiles, return it to his stash, and increase his time travel proficiency. Now I could go ahead and construct. If I construct, I'm gonna be taking this spot, which has a bonus of take an extra construct action, and there's no extra construct action that I can or want to do, so it's kind of wasted, but it is what it is. I think it's still the best thing I can do right now. So I'm gonna take a genius to act as an engineer, put it here on construct, and I will build temporal tourism. It has to go in the leftmost spot, which is here. It's also the only spot on my board that has 2 things remaining. Okay, so it costs 1 neutronium, 3 minus 1 is 2 titanium, and 3 water. So I'll trade a 5 for 2. Put all these back in the supply. And also a cost of 1 triangle with the time symbol breakthrough. So I return that to the supply. Okay, so now I built that. That was my construction. Back to you, Chronobot. Another 1. And I forgot to move the marker again. Okay, so he's gonna try to get rid of an anomaly. It takes 2 resources and 2 water. He has it, so he'll pay 2 resources and 2 water to discard this anomaly. Okay, now I could take the evacuate action. Actually, that might be a pretty good idea at this point because I have 4 super projects. So this bonus here counts when you take the action. If I had taken the action and then built another super project, it wouldn't have counted. But now I've got at least 8 water, I've got 9, so I can evacuate. Yeah, I'm definitely doing this. Okay, administrator, it can be any worker type. So the evacuate action is right here. When you take it, you put your path marker up here. And so that's my evacuate action. So you can see here, I get 3 points for doing the evacuate, and then I also get an extra 4 points for every super project I have. I have 4 super projects, so 3 plus 16 is 19 points. So I'll just grab 4 5s and return a 1. Back to you, Chronobot. 2. That is on build a life support. So in this case, he's got 3 life supports. He cannot build anymore. He puts an exosuit on the build action. They're both taken, so he takes this spot. But since he can't build a life support, he defaults to 2 water and 1 victory point. Okay, I have 1 exosuit left, but I only have 1 worker, and I still have Quantum Chameleon out here, and Outback Conditioner that I could do, and Temporal Tourism that I could do. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do before Chronobot has a chance to take it from me is recruit. So I'm gonna use my genius as an administrator. If you look over here on Chronobot's board, he's got 3 worker types. If he gets a genius, he can trade him in for 5 victory points. I am trying to prevent that. And luckily for me, I've got this plus recruit action as an available thing here. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna recruit a genius, and I'm gonna take my extra recruit action to also recruit a genius. So now there's no geniuses out here left for him to recruit, so he won't be able to do that. So that's good. And then I'm gonna take, since it's a genius, I get to pick my reward. and I'm going to choose energy core for both of them so that I can power up exosuits during the next era. So these geniuses come into my active column, and I collect 2 energy cores. Chronobot. A 4 is research. Alright, this is good for me because right now I'm hoping the game ends because I already did my evacuation. So he's taking up another one of these spots. So now there's only 2 remaining hexes out there. I don't have any exosuits. He only has 1, so we're not going to be able to collapse the capital during this era. But the next era should be no problem. So remember, for Chronobot's research, he only needs to roll the shape die, and he will take a square. Okay, so I have no exosuits and I have 2 geniuses remaining. I kind of want to do a few things, a few more things than I have. Now, I have 9 water, and I don't need to stockpile water anymore because I already did my evacuate action. I only needed 8 water at the moment I evacuated. That's over, so I can spend my water now. So I'm going to put a genius here, spend 5 water to increase morale and make my workers ready. Chronobot rolls a 4, another 4, he's going mining. Okay, so first he wants neutronium, there isn't any. He wants uranium. After uranium, now he wants neutronium. Okay, so he's got a neutronium and a uranium. If he collects a gold and a titanium, then he'll be able to trade in that set for 5 victory points. Okay, so I got my workers back. Now I have a gold to do this. What I really want also is I want to send a uranium back in time. I've got a uranium warp tile out here on the timeline, so I want to retrieve that, but at first I need a uranium to send back in time to myself. So I need to go mining, which I can do right here with my outback conditioner, even though I don't have any exosuits. Let's see, I'll send a scientist mining, costs me 2 water, and then I just look out here and I get to take, let's see, I'll take this titanium and this uranium. Chronobot. 4, so 4 is on construct a life support system, but he doesn't have any more Chronobots. So he's just going to move the token and get 2 water and 1 victory point. Okay, now that I've got that uranium, I'm going to send it back. So I'm actually going to use my new temporal tourism as a free action, because it's got a circle there, to move my focus back up to 3 eras. I'm just going to move it back 1 era to right here. I'm going to click this warp tile and send this uranium back to the supply. And then advance my time travel proficiency marker. So that got me an extra 2 points here on the time travel track, and it saved me a -2 from leaving that warp tile out. So really a net gain of 4 points. Chronobot, you're up. He's going with 5, which is supply workers, but that takes 6 water and he only has 5. So instead he is going to recruit, but he doesn't have any exosuits. So he's just going to take 2 water and 1 victory point. Okay, I really only see one thing. I've got the Quantum Chameleon open, but I really only see one thing that I actually want to do this era for sure, and that is right here. I can get rid of this anomaly because I've got 2 resources and 2 water, and that's what it takes. So I'm going to spend that. I'm going to put my engineer here, and it gets rid of this, but I actually have to also kill my engineer to do it. Back to you, Chronobot. 6, he is building a super project. But he doesn't have any exosuits, so he can't actually build. So all he gets is 2 water and 1 victory point. Over to me. I'm done. So that's it, I'll pass. All right, end of era, time to retrieve workers. This genius was working as an administrator, so she stays active. The scientist is tired. Let's see, I had an administrator mine. He's tired. I had a genius construct. She's tired. And I had a genius recruit. She is also tired. And any of these collapsing capital tiles that were used or that had an exosuit on them, they get flipped. Okay, so there's only 2 more. So we move on to the next era. Now, my goal is to use up both of these so that the capital is completely collapsed, so the game will end at the end of this era. If that doesn't happen, we'll move on to the 7th era, and then at the end of the 7th era, whether or not the capital is collapsed, the game will be over. Okay, so we move on to preparation. We need to refuel the mine and worker Okay, so we get 1 scientist, 2 administrators, and 1 genius as the available recruit pool. And for mining, we have 1 neutronium, 1 gold, and 2 uranium, and 1 titanium. Okay, reveal new super project, that's over here. Hopefully we don't get to that era. I don't have room to build another super project, so I'm not looking to do that. And advance the building stacks. Okay, paradox, right here, Chronobot has to roll for paradox. He gets 1. And here, Chronobot has to roll. He gets 0. And here, I have to roll. I get 1. Now, power up. I'm powering up 3 because that's what I can afford to do with my energy cores. So then I get income of 1 water. Okay, now warp. I am not warping in anything, but actually Chronobot has to choose first. So this goes in player order for solo mode. He is putting out 1 warp tile. I will do none. Because if I put a warp tile out, it's going to be minus 2 VPs for me when the game's over. Now Chronobot does not get minus victory points for the warp tiles he leaves out. So he's not so worried about it. So he's putting out a warp tile. No big deal for him. Okay, actions. Chronobot is first player. Chronobot takes the first action for era 6. Let's see what he's up to. 6. He's taking 2 water. Ooh, he's trying to get a super project built, I bet. Alright, that's 2 water for him. If he rolls another 6, he gets a super project, which basically it's going to be 6 VPs, is why that's a bad thing for me. Okay, so now over here. My goal is just to end the game. Basically to end the game before he gets a super project built. So I'm looking out here, and ooh, the other thing I want to do is I want to keep this genius away from him. He actually has 2 numbers which will allow him to recruit. I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm gonna put a genius in an exosuit and put them right here. Now this is actually cool. I get an extra powered up exosuit for using this spot. All right, so I'm gonna take that genius, and now this time it's a little different. I get to choose my reward. Usually I take the energy core, but in this case, I don't think I have any use for an energy core. I'm gonna take that victory point right there. So I collect this genius, and I choose 1 victory point as my recruit reward. All right, Chronobot, back to you. A 6. Oh, he pulled it off. I really wasn't expecting that to happen. Okay, so he takes an exosuit on a construct action, but there are no construct hexes available, so he uses the city council, world council, and he goes over here to maintain first player marker. And he actually takes the super project that is worth the most points. This one's 6 and this one's 5, so he's going to take this one and add that to his player board. He can only have a maximum of 2 super projects. Okay, so if we look at the board, all we need to happen is we need that research spot to be taken, and that will make it so that the end of this era is the end of the game. I don't think Chronobot's going to do it, so it's up to me to use it. I will go ahead and do that. I'll just take a genius in one of my exosuits. I'll go right here. The bonus is I get to remove 2 paradoxes. I only have 1, and it's really doesn't matter. All right, I'll choose circle, and I get circle with the time. So that's my research. That's my breakthrough. Chronobot, I think this is your last action. Let's see what you do. That's recruit. Ha. See, if I hadn't taken that genius, this would have got him 5 victory points, but as it stands, this gets him nothing. Alright, so out here, there's no recruit spots available, so he goes to the World Council spot to do his recruit action. He already has, there's no genius, so he has to take something he already has, and so he will prioritize this administrator. Now over to me, I will take the free action, temporal tourism, which allows me to move my focus back up to 3 eras. I'll move it back 1, and I will remove this warp tile and send this powered up exosuit back in time and advance my time travel marker. That was a free action. Now for my main action, I will pass. So now that I passed, the era is over. So we retrieve workers like normal, and then we check for game end. Now these both got flipped. Now the capital is entirely collapsed, so the game is over. Now all we have to do is add up our points. Okay, we add up points on the score pad. I got Super Duper Gamer versus Chronobot. I like to also keep track of which path I'm using. That's the path of progress with Cornella as the leader, because there's 2 different leaders for every path. So the first thing we do is how many VPs our buildings are worth. Taking a look at my city, I have one building worth 1 point. Okay, Super Duper Gamer buildings, 1. For Chronobot, he has 8 plus 6 is 14, plus 7 is 21, plus 5 is 26. Buildings, Chronobot, that's a 2, 6. Great. Next up is super projects. Now don't forget I have this, which means every super project, including this one, every super project of mine, including this one, is worth 3 extra points. So this is 6, plus 7 is 13, plus 9 is 22, plus 8 is 30. Super projects, 30. Chronobot has 1 super project, and it is worth 6. Chronobot, 6. Okay, now we're looking better. Anomalies. We both cleared all our anomalies, so that's 0 to 0. Time travel. Okay, I am right here, which is worth 8. Chronobot is right here, which is worth 4. Super Duper Gamer, I got 8. Chronobot has 4. Now, morale. I'm here in the center, which is 0. Chronobot increased morale once, giving him 2 points. Alright, Super Duper Gamer, 0. Chronobot, 2. Breakthroughs. I have 1. It's worth 1 point. Chronobot has 2. That's 2 points. They're worth 1 point each, and if you have a set, say a square, circle, and a triangle, that's worth an extra 2 points. So a set would be worth 5 points total. Okay. Victory point tokens. Alright, I got most of these from my evacuation, and I got some from my life support system. So I'm at 23. This is really where the player usually takes the lead because Chronobot does not do evacuation. Chronobot has 7. Okay, warp tiles left on the timeline. I cleared all mine. You can see here it's minus 2 points per warp tile, and Chronobot does not take points off for warp tiles left out. That's it, now we just add them up. So we got 31, 39, 40, 63. For Super Duper, and Chronobot's at 32, 36, 38, 47. I have defeated Chronobot handily. That may actually be my best game yet. I'll show you my previous games. For the first game, we tied 41 to 41. The tiebreaker is water, and I beat him in water 15 to 11. Second game, I focused more on shutting him down, and I won 33 to 24. And then the third game, I focused on getting points, and I won 65 to 58. So this game, 63 to 47, definitely my best margin of victory yet. That's me playing Anachrony. I hope you enjoyed following along and enjoyed taking a look at this game. It's a very long game. If you got through my whole playthrough, congratulations and thank you. But most of you, I expect, may have just skipped to here to see what I think of the game. So, what do I think of the game? It's great. So pros, very deep strategy and planning. And I enjoy the way this game makes you do that. Some games have deep strategy and planning that I don't enjoy, that I find annoying and troublesome, and it just feels like work. This game, I like it. If you watch however long this playthrough is, I haven't done the editing yet, it probably took me twice that long to play the game. Because there's a lot of times that I have to stop and figure out what I want to do, especially during the power-up and the warp phases, when I'm figuring out how many exosuits I need and what I need to borrow from the future. That's where I'm really pausing and staring at the board and staring at Chronobot's board and looking at all the options, because there's a lot of options. You have to make choices about what you want to do and what path you need to take in order to accrue the most points. Another pro, and I usually list this first, but beautiful. I enjoy the board. The artwork on the board is great, right? There's not a lot of art in the game. It's mainly just the board. Pretty much just the board, and the player boards also. That's where the art is. Because there's no cards, there's just the recruit supply and the mining pool cards, and those are just kind of, just functional cards. Definitely no art there. There's all these tiles, but the game's beautiful, the artwork, and then also the components. There's hardly any cards, like I was just saying, just these recruit pool cards. Just some mini cards over there for that, and those are totally functional for what they do. All the buildings our punch out tiles. All the resources are different colored plastic cubes. The water, different colored crystal water droplets. But all the components are super sturdy and sort of premium feeling. And the game being $60, it's sort of an average price for a game this big. So it's really nice seeing how I think the component quality compared to the price of the game is really good. Especially because when you also include how deep the gameplay is, you have to take that sort of intellectual property of the mechanics into account too in the price. I think it is priced well, and the components are very nice. Now these, of course, don't come with the $60 game. These you have to buy from Mindclash Games. I think it's $40 for the whole set of exosuits. That's 4 factions plus Chronobot. So 5 sets of 6 exosuits. And the way the workers fit into the exosuits is really neat. And it really kind of adds to the theme and draws you into the game. Okay, so another pro, the game works smoothly once you understand it. Okay, you want to skip ahead to a con? The game looks and feels very convoluted at first. There's a lot of components, there's a lot going on, there's a lot of options. Especially if you're just a solo gamer and you're trying to learn the game and how to run the Chronobot at the same time as soon as you bust it out without ever doing a multiplayer game first. That's another thing extra that you have to figure out in addition to how to run your own path by yourself. And it's intimidating, it's daunting, and it's not one of those games where, once you start playing it makes sense. It's more like once you start, like I played through the whole first game pretty slowly, and then it was like a few turns into the second game where everything really started to come together and I could sort of start flowing through the game a lot more smoothly. It took a while. It's a lot to take in and it's a lot to learn, and you really have to invest yourself into the game for hours or a day to learn how to play so that you can start enjoying the game. I've got one more pro for you here, and that is the asymmetry that this game provides. In a solo game, you don't want to be stuck just hitting the same strategy over and over every time you play the game, because then you just play it a few times and it gets stale. So they have plenty of asymmetry. Starting off with, there's 4 factions, right? 4 paths. And I was playing the Path of Progress. Now, every path has an A side of the board, and they're all identical. But every path also has a B side of the board, and they're unique to that path. And the way things cost different amounts, and morale is worth different amounts of victory points, time travel, they change up sometimes how much victory points it's worth. Sometimes for the Path of Progress here, if you use a scientist on a power plant or a factory to activate those buildings' abilities, then your scientist will remain active, right? So you get an extra benefit for using scientists, so then you might want to recruit more scientists, but that's only if you're using the B side of the Path of Progress player board. So if you're using a different path, you're not going to be able to use the same strategy through the game. You'll have to change it up and figure out how to win based on what's set up. Also, each path comes with a path board, and it's got the evacuation condition, but there's 2 sides to it. So depending on which side you use is going to change which evacuation condition you're doing. Now the game sort of, every time you play the game, the one thing that's going to be the same is that evacuation is worth a lot of points, and you're going to spend the whole beginning of the game building up to it, and then evacuate and just nail in like 20 points right there in your evacuation. And that's going to be your big score. So changing it up, this time I needed 8 water to evacuate. But there was a different game I had where I needed to have 2 anomalies to evacuate. And anomalies are a negative thing. They cost -3 victory points at the end of the game. So I had to get 2 anomalies on my board, evacuate, and then fix the anomalies, and then end the game. Right? So it was totally a different strategy that had to go into that than what you saw in this playthrough. And then also, every path has 2 different leaders. So you saw me kind of abuse the ability of Cornella, where you get to set everything worked together, because I was going for super projects due to my evacuation condition, and then I got that one super project that made all my super projects worth 3 extra points. It's like, okay, I'm already stacking super projects anyway, that's an obvious choice. And then her, with her ability, her research ability, that lets me get specific breakthroughs, which are what are required to build super projects, yeah, that helped a lot too. But I could have chosen instead to do the other Path of Progress leader, and then I wouldn't have been able to research as efficiently. I would have had to be rolling for my research, but then I could use an empty exosuit like it had a scientist in it. That's his ability. So that again changes how you're going to be playing the game, and it really adds, it changes it up. You know, it makes it so you can play this game over and over, and every time you can choose a different set of options here between the paths and the leaders and the sides of the player boards and the evacuation conditions, and so that the games feel different. Even though Chronobot's the same every time, the games will feel different because you have to do things differently in order to succeed. Okay, so cons, I already said, daunting. There's just so much here. It takes effort and commitment to learn this game so that you can play it and enjoy it. My second con here would be upkeep. I prefer games with less upkeep. Now this one you saw at the end of every era, retrieving your workers, and then the preparation phase, revealing the new super project, refreshing the mine and workers available, advancing the stacks, rolling for paradoxes. That's all what I call upkeep. You're not doing anything. You're not playing a game. You're not thinking or planning or strategizing or executing the strategy. You're just doing all the things that a computer program would do for you if you were playing a computer game. There's a lot of it, but at the same time, this is a long game. I want to say like 2.5 hours I usually spend on a play of this game. So sometimes, and it's very heavy. You're thinking and planning and strategizing a lot. It's a brain burner for sure. So sometimes those upkeep phases, because it's such a long game and it's so heavy and you're thinking so hard, they kind of come as a nice little break. It's a little bit of a nice relief sometimes, but I would prefer a game with less upkeep. Okay, and third con I have here, luck-based. So during the 5th era, if you watched my playthrough, there was a super project that I built, but I realized that before I built it, the Chronobot had a chance to build it. If he had rolled a 6, he would have built that super project. Now, to me, that super project was worth 6 points by itself, and because of my, what's it called, ultimate plan, I think it was called, that would have made it an extra 3 points, and because of the bonus on my evacuation condition, it was an extra 4 points during my evacuation. So that's 6 and 3 and 4, 13 points. That super project was worth 13 points for me, and if Chronobot took it, there was no other super project I could take. I would have just lost those 13 points. And it would have been 6 points for Chronobot. So that's a 19-point difference we would have seen. Now, of course, I would have done something else. So instead of losing 13, maybe I would have lost only 10 points. And instead of gaining 6, maybe he would have only gained 3 points compared to what he did instead. But that's still minus 3 and 3. So it's still a 13-point difference we would have seen. I only beat him by 16 points. Now, 16 points is a lot. I beat him by a lot. I've never beat him by that much before. But if he had rolled a 6, and that would have shortened the gap by 13 points, then I would have barely beat him. You know, or things could have turned out a little differently, and the game would have been very close. He had rolled a 6. The game would have been very close. But because he didn't, I beat him by a lot. So, yeah, luck-based. Okay? Now, there's things I could have done. The reason he had the chance to build that super project is because I hadn't built it yet, and I hadn't built it yet because I first had to gather some resources. If I had come into the era with those resources already gathered, I would have been able to build it sooner and minimize that risk. So there's things you can do to minimize risk, but still, you're rolling a die, it's luck-based. And just realizing that one roll could have cost me so many points one way or the other was really kind of surprising. Okay, and one more thing. I showed you all 4 games I've played, I beat Chronobot. So you might think game's a little too easy, maybe, for me, playing solo. So they actually have a difficulty adjustment in the rulebook, but I'm playing on the normal difficulty. The hard difficulty is play everything exactly the same, but you're not allowed to use your leader ability. Now that certainly would have made this game that I just played on camera a lot harder, because I think I really abused her ability of being able to choose what breakthroughs to get when I research while I was stacking super projects, right? Like it made it pretty easy. That was super helpful. But for that to be the adjustment to make it hard is to not use your leader's ability. That takes out the whole point of the leader card, right? It's like you don't even have this. And I already said that this was a pro because it added variability to the game. It changes your strategy. It changes your options and what you can do. So if you want to play on hard, just throw that out. I think that's kind of lame. I wish they would have come up with a different way to increase the difficulty to hard, because I like the variability. I like having the leaders, and I like having different leader abilities, and you get to pick your leader. All right, so that's the end of my pros cons list. Sort of neutral, something you have to know about this game. Could be a pro or a con, depending on who you are. The game is long, and the game is heavy, okay? It's hard to get into. It takes a lot of effort to play. You know, setup, keeping all the components straight, planning, strategy. It's taxing. It's not relaxing. But every time I played this game, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed the ride. I've enjoyed the thinking and the planning. I've enjoyed the winning. Okay, so I did order the game on Kickstarter from the original Kickstarter. The only thing that was Kickstarter exclusive was the box sleeve. Okay, so everything else you see can come with the game. Of course, like I said, the minis don't come with the game, but they are available from Minecraft Games. So, rating, this is going in my collection as an 8. I think if you could make it less luck-based, especially when I realized that that one roll could have changed the game by like 13 to 19 points. It's like, man, that's crazy. If you had just rolled a 6 at one time, could have flipped the winner when the way it is, I didn't only win, I won by a huge margin. But if he rolled a 6, he could have beat me. That might bump it to a 9 for me. It's just not my favorite kind of game, so it can't be a 10. But I think it is a very good game. It's beautiful. I love the asymmetry. I love the depth. It's hard to get into, which holds it down. I prefer games with more action, maybe a shorter game, less upkeep. So it's not really my favorite style of game. But if this is your style of game, you enjoy the long thinky games, I could easily see it being a 10 for a lot of people. It is very well done, very beautiful, very great components. I hope you enjoyed looking at it with me, and I'll see you next time.